Give me a minute, and I want to talk about the situation at the Polish border. So, back in early November, around November 11th, if I'm not mistaken, Polish truckers began blockading Ukrainian truckers from returning to Ukraine. And initially, the protests were along these three border crossings, but were then expanded to a fourth border crossing, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, the reason that they say that they are doing this is because of unfair competition from the Ukrainians. When the war happened, when the full-scale invasion happened, Poland and the EU, not just Poland, but the EU, suspended the permitting requirements for Ukrainian truckers. And that led to according to the Polish Ministry of Transportation, that led to a 7.5 times increase in Ukrainian traffic through Poland. The Polish truckers are saying they're taking our jobs, that the small Polish family-run trucking companies are facing bankruptcy because all of the haulage is being handed to Ukrainian drivers who are undercutting the Polish drivers. That's the claim they're making. Now, what's important to understand about this is that we don't have good data about how accurate those claims are. It is clear that the Polish drivers who used to haul into Ukraine, pick up loads, and haul out of Ukraine are suffering. They're suffering because Ukraine isn't producing the products that the Polish truckers used to haul. So they bring their loads in, drop off the imports, but they have no exports, and they're driving back empty. And that's a real problem because according to the Ministry of Transportation of Poland, 6.5% of the Polish economy is in the transport sector. So this is a real problem. It's a real problem between good friends. And I think that that's important to highlight here. The Polish people, the Polish government have been some of the biggest supporters of Ukraine in this war. And that should not be forgotten. And if their truckers are suffering, there should be some kind of a solution to that. The Ukrainian government, for its part, has offered numerous concessions, numerous options, but the Polish truckers refuse to take anything except a reinstitution of the permitting process before the war, which is not in the power of the Polish government to grant, as it's an EU policy. So it's a tough situation. Now, let's take a look at the current situation as I understand it. So as I mentioned before, the initial 3 border crossings that were being blockaded had been expanded to 4 with the addition of this I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I don't want to butcher the name of somebody's hometown. You can see it there on the map. Now, this border crossing was added to the blockade. Then the blockade got shut down, and it just reopened again 21 hours ago. And so those 3 border crossings are currently blockaded. And you can see from this picture, there are as many as 3,000 Ukrainian trucks that have been stuck there, some of them for as long as a month and a half, 2 months. As a matter of fact, we have reports of truckers running out of their heart medication and at least 3 of them dying from heart attacks, just waiting in line. It's a tough situation. Now, you'll notice that 4th border crossing at the top there, I changed the color to the colors of the Polish flag and I turned it green because the mayor of the local town on the Polish side shut it down. Shut down the blockade and reopened the border. And so he was having none of it. He said that it was a danger to local residents. It was a problem for international train. It's certainly a problem for the Ukrainians who are facing goods shortages, and who, from apocryphal evidence, from our good buddy Tony Takiri at Fast Angels, which is a Finnish charity that transports goods into Ukraine. And Tony's a volunteer. He's one of our good friends here on TikTok. And Fast Angels is his charity. He drives truckloads of goods from Finland all the way out to Kupiansk, Kramatorsk, nearly to Bakhmut. And according to him, getting through the border is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And he's a volunteer with volunteer aid. We have reports of both, even though they're not supposed to be blocking it, we have verifiable reports of both military and humanitarian aid being blocked at the border. And that's a real problem. Forget about the devastating effects to the economy of these goods shortages and blockages. The devastating effects to the military of not getting truckloads of ammunition, or to the people living along the border who aren't getting the food supplies, the medical supplies, the things they need to live under the harshest conditions imaginable. So I am deeply sympathetic to our friends in Poland in the trucking industry whose businesses may be suffering from this war. But I am also very supportive of the Ukrainian cause under fire. That's not the case for the Poles yet, anyway. So it's a difficult situation between good friends. As far as I can tell, it's a difficult situation between good friends. It does seem to be being exacerbated by the Confederation, which is a Polish anti-Ukrainian far-right party that is likely sponsored by the Kremlin. That's a problem. It is possible, though we don't have direct evidence of it, that the Kremlin is helping to fund this. Because if these guys are so worried about working, they can't very well be sitting on the border for 3 months at a time, right? Somebody's got to be funding them. Now, we don't have evidence of that money, but we do have evidence that this entire thing is certainly fueled not by diesel, but by Kremlin disinformation. That is a tricky situation, very tricky situation. We don't have a good answer to what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. The new Prime Minister, Tusk is his name, I think, in Poland. He has vowed to shut this thing down. It's a hard situation, and I'm sympathetic to the Poles, but by the same token, I see how the Ukrainians are suffering, and that can't be allowed to continue, in my opinion. So guys, that's the situation on the Polish border as best I understand it. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what I do, please like, subscribe, and share. Or if you can, join the Patreon. At a $30 level or more a month, you get a video sponsorship. And this video was sponsored by Jason. Jason, thanks so much for being part of the Patreon. I literally could not do this without you guys. Take care.